What's good, family? This is your boy SolarMind of Solar Vision ICBM2. I am live here with the one, the only Mikha'el. Mute your with your top. Yeah, I am live with the one and only Mikha'el. As you can hear, I got a little strep throat, like not a strep throat, but my voice is getting hoarse because I was yelling. I was yelling all day. And it wasn't like the type of yelling that I had to do. I was messing with Bashir. Me and Bashir was messing around and we was yelling over the phone. And my voice got a little, I guess, hoarse, I guess we want to call it. But we'll get through it. I'm live here with Mikha'el, and he's a new member of the Debate League. Now, for anyone who is interested in being a member of the Debate League, they can contact me at SolarMind, that's SolarMind 123 at gmail.com. So you can reach me there. Also, you could I encourage everybody who watch the debates to vote for their top debaters in the Debate League Power Rankings. The link will be in the description box. And we have some up and coming debates. We have an actual discussion tomorrow, hopefully with Zion Lex and Black Jesus Minister. So that should be a very good conversation. We're going to have the Debate League review on Thursday featuring Kentron. And Friday, we'll have the debate between Imam Bashir and the Gorilla Hebrew. So, we should be keeping it, gangster for the next few days, Hopefully, we still be able to get Brother Ngozi. Maybe we have to reschedule. I have to get back in contact with him. I would like to bring him on the platform. With that being said, we're going to get this thing started. What's going on, Mikha'el?
Not much, bro. And grace and peace, shalom to you, brother SolarMind, man. I hope you in good health. And I'd like to first and foremost give all honor and praise to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the name of his son Jesus Christ, our Mashiach. And you know me, bro. I'm just chilling, man, trying to put in a little work that I can, and for the most part, bring some light to this screwed up society that we stay in, man. But that's about it. I've been watching you though, man. I've been following you. I see your channel growing back, and it's looking good, man. Keep it up. I've been checking out some of the debates too. Well, hold up. Now you said Gorilla Hebrew and Imam Bashir, didn't they just debate?
Yeah, they had a trilogy. They signed a contract for 3 debates that they were going to do. This is the last one.
Oh, okay. So I must have missed the second one then. I only seen the first
one. Yeah, they had one. I think I forget what the title of it was. I think it was centered around Muhammad in the Bible. I think it was something to that extent.
Okay, so it's. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll check it out after the show.
But yeah, what type of Hebrew are you? Let the people know what type of Hebrew you are.
To people that don't know no better, it sound funny how you say that. I hear you say that all the time to people who, like, you'll say like, well, that brother ain't that type of Hebrew, or that brother is this type of Hebrew. But it's a valid question. The Hebrew Israelite quote unquote movement has grown so fast. Last time I checked, they said it was the fastest growing. They label it as a belief in the Western Hemisphere in the last 2 decades. And so, I would say I'm not a One West Israelite. My founders and elders didn't come out of New York City. My founders and elders, if you had to classify me, I guess you would say a Chicago-based Israelite. I don't really like the classifications, but they're there. But I'm a Hebrew Israelite that, how do I put it? Oh, I'm a Messianic Israelite. if you're wondering. For those who don't know what that mean I do believe in the Messiah. Those of you who know him by Jesus Christ in the New Testament, some say Yahshua HaMashiach, some say Yahushua or Yehoshua. But that guy in the New Testament, I do follow his teachings. I have been confused of being a Tanakh or Torah only, meaning OT only Israelite. It's because I spent a lot of time in the Old Testament. But no, I do believe in Christ. I'm the type of Israelite, I guess if you could put me in a bracket, I'm the kind of Israelite that I really believe that the Bible or the scriptures that I follow have to be practical. You know, they can't be how do I put it, primitive. Like, you have to be able to use them and apply them to today's society. So I use the scriptures, man, to try to point out and fix certain issues, especially in the Black community. Because that, you know, that's my first priority, of course, is where I'm from, and that's the Black community. So I guess you put me like that. I'm a Messianic Israelite. I don't have a problem with the term Christian either, because it's in the Bible. Some Israelites don't like that term. I just don't. I just make sure I separate it from modern day Christianity. I'm not a modern day Christian.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. So what brought you to the truth? Like, why Hebrew Israelite? Why did you choose that over anything else?
Man, that's the $1 million question right there. Well, like I say, for those who don't know me, this would be new to you, but for those who do know me, they've heard it. I did this interview with numerous people. But basically my life an open book. You know, I don't glorify my past, but I do acknowledge that it existed, because there's a lot of cats today that's going through or trying to glorify something that I went through and I actually lived it. And it had a lot of bad repercussions to it. You know, it had a lot of positives too, because, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I wouldn't be in the truth, as you say, had these things not happened to me. But, you know, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, Auburn, Gresham neighborhood. A lot of people call it Inglewood because they're right next to each other. And, you know, I was in a particular street organization. I got plugged, as they put it, or blessed at 12 years old. So, you know, I was a vice lord. I just straight out say it, because people know anyway, because I'm writing a book, and it's called From Vice Lord to Servant of the Lord. And so basically, you know, I didn't have to join it. I had both parents. You know, it was just one of those things that you and all your buddies hung out, and, you know, you lived like in that neighborhood, and I was in the neighborhood right between the vice lords and the GDs, and all these, you know, it was certain members that were vice lords that I looked up to or whatever. So I joined them when I was 12 years old. I got blessed or whatever, as they put it. And you know, I had a rough one, man. I mean, I was in the gangster life for real. You know, I got shot for the first time when I was in 8th grade. You know, matter of fact, I think I was 12 years old. Same year I got plugged. I got shot when I was, you know, in 8th grade. That was the first time I got shot. And then over the years, I wound up being shot 4 more times, you know, with a total of 4 different guns. Until the last time I got shot. And the last time I got shot, I got put in a wheelchair. You know, the bullet hit my nervous system on the bottom of my spine, and, you know, it confined me to a wheelchair. And you know, so in between that, being that I was in the organization that I was in, we had what you would call Moorish American teachings. You know, Noble Drew Ali, because that's what the Vice Lord Foundation was incorporated with, as well as the Black Peace Stones, was the Moorish Americans or whatever. So that's kind of how I was always around that type of concept, with my god brothers and all them was Moors and all that. You know, it's real heavy in Chicago. And so that's basically the route I was more than likely to go. But when I got shot the last time and almost died and got put in the wheelchair, whatever, You know, it was a sister came to me at the hospital bed, and she asked me, did I know who I was? And me being what I was, you know, a little naive brother, I said I was a vice lord. Like that was, you know, I believe that was my nationality. You know, because they call them nations in Chicago. They don't call them gangs. And so, you know, and the sister told me, "Nah, you know, you part of one of the lost tribes of Israel." And it was just like from that point on, I kind of just that's which way I went. You know, I first went to the Israel of God, the IOG. It was on 75th and Kingston at the time, in a neighborhood called Terrortown. That's real famous. It's a set that was founded by Chief Malik, Jeff Fort's son. It's on the east side. So that's in the middle of the real rough hood. But I noticed when I went over there, like, wouldn't nobody touch their area. You know, they own property across the street and that right there, and they just got the utmost respect. And so, you know, I started going there. But when I first went there, you know, I was still kind of traumatized, you know, plus my boys, man, all my homies, man, was dropping left and right. Like I to this day, I got around 26 obituaries. And I think at that time I had lost like 3-4 homies back to back because we was in war real bad back then with a couple of different organizations. And so, man, you know, when I went up there, you know, for a long time, I wouldn't get out the car. I would go with the sister who brought me into the truth. She brought me into the truth. She introduced me to this brother named Elijah. He got his own camp now called the ICOJ, Israel Church of Jesus. They based in Gary, Indiana. They got about 12, 13, 14 chapters around the country themselves. And, you know, and at that time, he was at the Israel of God. He was a teacher at the IOG under Brother Bowie. And he took me there. I mean, you know, they took me there, but I wouldn't get out the car for like a whole almost year. I wouldn't get out the car. So the brothers would, the elders at the camp would come sit a loudspeaker out on Saturday, on the Sabbath day, and they would sit it out in the park a lot for me to hear the lessons or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, plus I was a chief. I was one of the youngest chiefs on the south side of Chicago for the conservative vice lord. So, you know, I kind of had you know, a mark on me. And man, you know, after about a year, man, you know, I took it all in, got the courage, went in there, and for the most part, I've been there ever since. You know, I had a little moment throughout a decade where you know, I kept wanting to like kind of still play with the streets and all that type of stuff. Although I knew who I was keeping the commandments, I was keeping the Sabbath and all that, but I was still doing my little thing, dabbling. You know how Jake says, they don't want to give it all the way up. I was, you know, selling bricks of weed and all that old stuff. And then the Lord did something else to me. He sat me in that place for a little while. I got out, man. I was like, man, I know too much to still be winding up in this thing. And when I went in there, it was a bunch of reformed brothers. They was from every organization: Black Disciples, GDs, Vice Lord, Stones, Latin Kings, and they was in there under the Hebrew Israelite Act. And by me already being like 10 years into this, you know what I'm saying, like 8, 9, 10 years into it at the time, you know, I kind of took the lead in that. So when I got out, man, I said, man, I'm finna use this and I'm finna turn around and just start doing community activism because everybody know me. And, you know, at that time, I really ain't had no enemies no more. Like even the cats that we went to war with, if they were still alive, I was just happy to see that they were still alive. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't have that beef no more. So I said, I'm gonna use my influence, man, and just start, you know, bringing the truth, man. And I had opened up a little community center for a while, but that didn't work out. So now, that's my next launch now, is to open up another community center and basically travel the globe, man, looking for the lost tribes of Israel and you know, deal with my people. So that's basically where I'm at now, bro. You there, Solar? SolarMind.
Yes, sir. You hear
Oh,
me?
okay. Yeah, okay. I hear you now.
Okay. All right. Hold on a second. I think I have my joint muted out. Yeah, so like speak on the speak on the Israelite doctrine and how effective it is in Chicago. I know there's like a lot of stuff going on in Chicago. I just was reading how the it was over 71 people shot this past weekend in Chicago. I want you to speak on that and how effective is the Israelites are in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. The 77, I believe it was 74 people shot. And the numbers fluctuate or whatever, but nevertheless, it was a lot. It's too many people. Like that ain't normal. And the sad part about it is it's like our people didn't got used to that. And I'm gonna touch on some other things too, but I'm gonna deal with this right first. It's spinning off of this exact same conversation. Like last year, I remember I had went on Priest Danya Allah show, Maccabees TV. Shout out to him, Lions of Israel. And we was talking about what happened with it was a week where it was like 100 and some people shot and like 40, 50 dead or something like that. And I had went on that, man, and broke some things down. And to answer the question, the Hebrew Israelite movement, like with any movement, let me use the Nation of Islam for example. The Nation of Islam stronghold has been Chicago for a long time, but Chicago never stopped being in the top 10 in murders. You know what I mean? People talk about Chicago like it's so bad, in which it is. And I've lived in Detroit and Gary, Indiana, and all those joints are off the chain. Like our people are some straight up, it's straight up killers in all these little cities that I was in, right? Or big cities rather. And the only difference is with the Chi, it's a lot of politics involved, even with with the street life, and it's real cutthroat. But you could say that about a lot of cities, man. I ain't gonna poop on nobody's city. Today, St. Louis always in the top 10. Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? Gary, Detroit, you know what I'm saying? And all these places where our people at in a large, at a large capacity, the violence is off the chain. And, so I would say, like, the Nation of Islam been in the Shah for a long time, but it's always been the way it is. The Hebrew Israelites been in the Shah since, at least the 50s. And it's always been like it is. Now, as far as effective, if you mean by like, well, why ain't the crime rate going down? We got all these organizations or spiritual groups, if you want to use that term, in Chicago. It's just like with anywhere else, man. You're gonna have those that are sincere about bringing this truth to their community, and you will see differences. Like even if it's just in the little immediate neighborhood where they based it, you will see the differences. But like with anything else, man, a lot of it is, and I gotta say it across the board for all the religious groups, it's like some of them, man, the condition of the community ain't their number one priority. I'm just keeping it real. And unfortunately, I believe that most of the Israelites that I've met or came across are sincere about, wanting to wake their people up, stop the violence and all that, and bring them into the truth. But unfortunately, I've seen even some cutthroat cats, that know they Israel. And so the best way for me to answer that is it's definitely been effective. Like for example, the camp that I come from just did something that I haven't seen any other group do, let alone Hebrew Israelite group. But we just opened our first medical center. So, and to take the dependence off of us always going to other nations. You know, we depend on them for our education. We depend on this system for our school, for our education, for our for our financial stability. We depend on them for our food, for our clothing. And so we trying to change all that. And in Riverdale, Illinois, You know, we got a camp out there and we opened up our plaza. It's a Hebrew Israelite owned Hebrew Israelite work plaza. We got a tax center, you know what I'm saying, to do your taxes and loans and all that type of stuff. We got a medical center. It's right in Riverdale, Illinois, right on 138th Street off Halsted. It's huge. You can't miss it because the camp is huge. You know what I'm saying? It's seat like 6,000-7,000 people just in the camp alone. And then outside, you'll see a plaza across the street. And we got a restaurant up there, whatever. And it's a few restaurants that even Israelites from the other camps own up through there. And on top of that, the brother that I was telling you about that brought me in the truth from the other camp, ICOJ, he's right across the line in Gary, Indiana. And he just opened up a school, like a literal school, like a Hebrew Israelite school. We bought an old public school. So it's a I think it's from kindergarten to, I want to say 9th grade or 8th grade or something like that. It might incorporate high school, I'm not sure, but it's a real school. And so that's what we're doing. So from that standpoint, it's been extremely impactful, but you wouldn't know it if you're just watching the news. You know what I mean? You watching the news, man, they got you thinking like, soon as you step foot in Chicago, you're going to die. You know what I mean? And it is bad here, but some of that stuff, man, is kind of got I put it like this. Some of that reporting that y'all getting, it got some political influence on it. Because there's a lot of stuff going on. Our mayor crook as hell, fake Jew, Rahm Emanuel. You know what I mean? And then you go from that with the police department and them and Trump having beef, and it's all type of stuff going on in the shot. So yeah, the Hebrew Israelite movement have been effective despite the outrageous, violent numbers that you see in the city.
Yeah, because I think Dick Gregory said this. He was like that's like a FBI operation, and they not really gangsters, and there's like some type of agenda. Like it's a conspiracy theory, but I was just throwing that out there, you know, because every time I look at the statistics, I think about what he said. You know what I mean? He said some more shit like, you know, that could be like the cops doing that shit, you know. So
okay, on that note, then, hey, you want to go there?
Hey man, this was the interview for, bro.
Hey man, I ain't trying to get your channel flagged, man, but you know, I warn people when I go there, man. I let's just put it like this. Conspiracy theories are cool. They can get outrageous too, so you can't believe all of them. But just because it's a conspiracy theory, it don't make it a fable. It don't make it a myth. It just means somebody conspired to hide it. And I'm gonna tell you something. I didn't see what Dick Gregory said. You know, the late Dick Gregory rested.
He said that years ago. He said that about like I think it was like about 3 years ago. He said that.
Well, I could tell you he on something, because now let me say this before anybody say, oh, he with the conspiracy stuff. Look, I'm not gonna deny. I just told y'all cats are killing each other. Yeah, they killing each other. And I think they said was it last year that they had recovered more firearms off the streets of Chicago than New York, LA, Detroit, and like 5 other cities combined or something like that. And I know it because they dropping crates of guns off. I mean, I know firsthand knowledge of this. You know, for example, I did a funeral. I tell people about this. I did a funeral. I had to reside over somebody's funeral. You know, that's part of it. I'm a priest for real. So that's part of the job. You know, you got to bury people sometimes, you know. So I presided over this funeral because some people had reached out to me online and say they didn't want no commercial, you know, they didn't want the regular religious type of pastor doing a funeral. And it was a young man that got killed. And he was pretty well known in the streets. You know, he had clout, as they said. And they was believed that he got set up and killed by some of his own people. That's what they were saying at the time or whatever. And so I went up there, man, and I just kept it funky with him, man. I went to the prophet Isaiah, and I showed in the book where it said we'd be stacked in prison houses. You know, I told him statistics. I went to a couple other scriptures showing why we was killing each other, and the only way we can, you know, put a huge dent in that is if we come back to the ways of our forefathers, the law, statutes, and commandments. And when I was up there doing it, bro, you know how funerals are. It was already a preacher up there. You know, they come with the funeral home. They got the preacher that come with the funeral home. And so I just bumped him off his job, but I didn't try to. It's just that after I got through talking, man, and I'm looking at these young cats' face in the audience, they got murder on their face. They ready to go kill something. So when I got through talking to them, man, and, you know, they can look at me. I will in there. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no bunch of entourage security with me or nothing. And, you know, they could see the tattoos and stuff. They probably knew who I was from the former life. And, you know, they respected it. So they invited me to the repast. So I went to the repast, man. And it was a cat there. He was one of the heads over them out there. And I asked him, I said, man, so what's up with this thing I keep hearing? Because I knew about them dropping the crates of guns off. Hold on, give me 1 minute. Don't hold on. I gotta plug my charge up for the battery now.
All right, no doubt. You know, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, fam. We only got 7 likes up in the building. Yeah, that's your cost of admission, fam. Hit the like button, show me some love. Unless you're a troll, you know what I'm saying? Hit the like button, and also you can, you know, hook your boy up by also sharing it on your social media outlet. You know, post it on your Facebook page. You know,
okay,
that's love right there. But go ahead, Mikha'el.
Yeah, so like I was saying, yeah, so you know, so I was talking to the brother or whatever, and I was, you know, basically, you know, giving him my condolences, consoling them or whatever. And I'm basically trying to keep that spirit on them to not go retaliate. You know what I mean? And that's hard to do, especially coming from a cat that's how I was brought up. You know, if you take one of mine, I'm gonna take 3 of yours. So I knew what was on their mind. And so I'm talking to the brother, man, and I asked him, I said, man, I remember back in the day, we used to hit the freights, as we call it. You know, we would hit the freight trains. You know, and we would basically look up. We would hit the freight trains, and, you know, we would hit them, and sometimes you would hit them and you would get guns. A lot of times you would you would hit the freights and you would get sneakers or something like that. You know what I mean? But every blue moon, you would hit the freights and come up on guns. Well, apparently, about the last 5, 6 years, bro, I don't know, probably even 6, 7 years, it's just been an influx of the freights being popped open. And this is what this brother told me, man. And I knew it because, like, back in my day, bro, when you went on a set, as they call it, or, you know, you went in somebody's territory, I'm gonna try to talk generic for those who are ignorant of the fact. Say if one organization or a gang, we'll use that for lack of a better term, say if they had 5 or 6 block territory, right? Say they had 5 or 6 blocks. It would probably be 2 or 3 main blocks that they hang on out of those 5 or 6 blocks. Now, out of those 2 or 3 blocks, it's really one main block where, you know, that's like, don't go down that block because they got guns everywhere. Well, and to be honest with you, it might only be 2 or 3 guns. It might be one big heavy and a couple of handguns. Now, bro, when you go on them blocks down there, man, and you see about 30 young cats standing on the corner, I'm not exaggerating. It's at least 11 pistols out there. And revolvers is almost extinct. If they don't got a chopper or something, AR-15, they got extended clips. You know what I'm saying? It's hanging out the side. And I'm like, man, how they just, you know, where all these damn guns come from, right? So let me get back to this. Just bring me back to where I was at. So I'm talking to the brother, man, and I had heard rumors that they was dropping off crates of guns. So I asked him. He was like, yeah. He was like, man, I can tell you 100% fact. He said, we've got them. He was like, man, so, you know, it's some people that's in contact with certain parts of law enforcement, and they let them know when to go to the freights. Because I'm finna tell you something. Anybody that's from Chicago know that I'm not lying. When you go to these streets where the railroad system run at, right? I ain't talking about IL. I'm talking about the regular cargo trains, the choo-choos. when they run through the hood, it's certain areas where you know where they at, like 55th Street on the south side. Yeah, right. They have what you call the railroad police. They're real police, and all they do is patrol those tracks. So if it's anything real valuable on them things, you're gonna see them riding around. So we used to have to look up because it's a real dangerous thing. They will shoot you down. Now, how is it that this brother told me, he said, yeah, man, they'll give a cat a call and let us know what time to come through there. And they say, man, you know, the trains will be stopped. We get on there, you know, he said they get, and it's third party talking. I don't know the guy's name for the YouTube police looking. That ain't gonna happen. I forgot his face too, by the way. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? And they say they would go to the tracks and they would be told which cars to go to. They already unlocked and everything, man. They go in there, and this how I know it's crazy, because he told me something, and this one I knew it was true. He said, do you know when we go get them, the ammo is already with them? And I say, hold on. Now, back in the day, when we used to do that, the ammo was never with the guns. So you either just get a bunch of ammo or you get a bunch of guns, because you would have to hit another cart and find that cart to find out where the ammo was at. Now they together. So what do that sound like to you? Come on, man. So it's some sinister stuff going on. And to what the late brother Dick Gregory alluded to, I'm gonna tell you. I want everybody that's watching this, like put your dogmatic religion or your non-religion or whatever it is you believe or don't believe to the side. Just listen to me as a brother, right? I ain't on debate mode right now. And I want you to type in Chicago expressway shootings or Chicago freeway shootings. And what you gonna find out is, man, like I took notice of it like the last 4-5 years. Every year, bro, we got at least 30, 40 different expressway shootings. And I'm going to tell you how abnormal that is. Every blue moon back in the day, you would hear of a cat getting shot up on the expressway, and that would be a hit. But now cats are getting sniped on the expressway. Now, you tell me how many gangbangers you know got that type of marksmanship that they can hit a car on the expressway going anywhere between 60 and 90 miles an hour, and they hitting cats point blank, and ain't nobody been caught in the last 4 or 5 years. And this is every summer, bro. This every year. Just look. I want y'all to look it up, bro. Y'all gonna see I'm not lying. It's scary, bro. It's like a ridiculous amount of people getting shot down on the expressway, and they never catch nobody. So the first thing came to my mind is, man, you know, I used to watch Alex Jones before I know he got sold out or whatever, because, you know, he's definitely a misinformationalist now. They got to him. So, but back when I was first coming into the truth about 20 years ago, you know, I was checking everything. I was a conspiracy nut. Because you know how it is, SolarMind. Once you find out they lied to you about the basic stuff, you start checking everything, right?
Yeah, can't leave no stone unturned, man.
Right, no stone unturned. So I was checking out Alex Jones, and he had a show where he was talking about paramilitary black ops missions in the hood. That's what he said. I said, let me check this out, right? So I'm checking him out, and matter of fact, it was about 15 years ago. It was about 15 years ago, because I think this was right when YouTube started popping. And so so I'm checking him out, and he was interviewing some people in LA, and they was saying on the news it was a crack deal went bad, you know, a trap house, a dope spot, right? And it'd be 4 or 5 people shot up in there dead. So they made it look like, you know, think about it. The first thing you're gonna think is, oh man, some cats went in there, drug deal must have went bad, they got shot up. But the people that lived on the block said, no, that night they seen silent helicopters flying, hovering over the block. You know what I'm saying? And Alex Jones' thing was, he even had footage with somebody recording one of these silent helicopters, man, with people coming down. Man, if y'all can find that, y'all need to try to find it. It gave me chills. So basically what they saying is, when they go to war in these other countries, if they need to practice like real guerrilla warfare, what's the best place to do it? in a gang-infested neighborhood. Because as far as the news is concerned, as far as the civilians are concerned, all you're gonna think is it's just some gangbangers get killed. You know, that's what they do. But these are actually trained operations with them coming in, and it's a live trained operation, the same way they do it when they went over to Afghanistan and Iraq. They come in at night, like the Army Rangers, that's their thing because they airborne, you know, or the Navy SEALs come in off the water or whatever. Some of them come in airborne with the Rangers. And they come down silently on them ropes. They go in, they kill whoever they're going to kill, and they get up out of there. And they saying that they doing that practice in our major cities. And now that I'm thinking about this, how crazy, chaotic it is in the Chi, all I'm going to say is to my listeners, I don't have proof, but I'm not a gullible cat and I watch everything. I'm going to say I would not be surprised if that's what's going on. It's some paramilitary operations going on, along with the violence.
Right. Just this past weekend in Philly, right down not too far from where I live at, my boy called me like 1 o'clock in the morning. It was like, yeah, you won't believe this shit. He was like, 5 dudes just got shot on the corner. And I'm like, oh damn, like bro, like what happened? He's like, yo, it was some white dude that nobody know. They seen the motherfucker with some white boy.
Wow.
Now, you live in like the middle of North Philly. Not saying that white boys ain't involved in, you know, nigga politics at times, but they were speaking in the context of them not knowing who this boy is, this white boy is. So it's like, yeah, man, I think that that may be some crazy shit going on. You know, Brother D is actually the one that actually called me and was telling me about that. So, you know, you never know, man.
Man, you never know, bro. And it's interesting that you said it was 5 people. I was just thinking the other day, right? Like when cats get shot up in the Chi, you know what I'm saying? When cats get shot up in the Chi, every now and then you would hear of 4 or 5 people getting shot. You know what I'm saying? 4 or 5 people get shot, 2 dead, something like that, right? It's like that sometimes because people hang in crowds. If you shoot, you got enough rounds to do all that, right? But now, Joe, I was just watching the news the other day. I had to make a call and see if it was true. 8 people got shot. 8. You like, damn, did anybody try to run? It ain't the thing trying to run. Everybody got guns, man. Everybody got guns. So like you saying, how hard would it be for an outside force to come in there and just pick people off? Like I'm getting used to hearing of multiple shooting victims, like not just 1, 2 people. It's like 9 people shot, 5 dead. Like where they do that at? And it's on the corner. This ain't like execution style in the house. It's like, I'm telling you, it's like some type of military practice game. Now, for anybody listen to this, I want to keep it in y'all mind. I am not saying that the gang banging, drug dealing, and all the other chaotic shootings not going on. No, don't even think don't listen, don't take that way and then come in and think it's sweet and then, oh, you know, they ain't doing that. That's really no, because it's cracking out there, as they say it. But what I'm saying is what SolarMind is asking me is it's a little extra mustard put on it, y'all, and it's some type of sinister stuff behind it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm on the line with the brother D. Brother D, tell me about what you was telling me the other day with what happened down on Susquehanna.
Oh yeah, it's just another purge situation, like the movie where they sending in white people to the community, man, to shoot things up, and then try to say it's a gang-related shooting or it's drug dealers shooting at each other, when it's really white people going.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
So it's the same situation in Chicago. 75 people get shot, no suspects, cameras all around, nobody get caught. Same thing now in Susquehanna, the same thing. White boys dressed up, covered up. You know what? This Yeah, white boys are putting masks on, coming down the street and shooting up the drug dealers on the corner.
Right. Yeah, I
That's
just want
transpiring.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a brother from Chicago that was kind of saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He just came to mind that when you called me that night.
Yeah, they had, and the reason you could see that it was a white boy. He just had a mask on, and then when he grabbed his gun, it was from his back, like somebody that's trained.
And that's
out the smalls of their back.
Can D hear me?
Wait on foot.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mikha'el. You wanted to say something, Mikha'el?
Yeah, can he hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Yeah, that's another thing you brought up, bro. I didn't even think of that. That's another point. The cameras. Anybody that been in the shot, man, know that like I remember I brought somebody. I was living in Detroit for a few years back. Now Detroit is rough. Detroit always just been like a smaller Chicago, right? But I even brought them here. They was like, man, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Like when you ride past schools, when school getting out, I thought it was normal. That's the sad part about it. Even me, I thought it was normal. I thought every major city was like that. But when you go past the schools, you know, they got armed police officers out there because the neighborhoods, you know, they be in war so bad, they have to be up there, you know, so don't nobody start shooting at the school. So they got this thing called Safe Walk Home. And they, you know, they got men that volunteer to walk the kids home, and they got to wear real bright colors because, you know, to try to cut down on the kids getting caught in the crossfires and stuff, right? And so they was bugging out when they was looking at it because, like, every other liquor store you go to, you would see armed guards out there. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's just how it is, man, because cats don't care. They'll shoot at the police too. You know what I'm saying? And the cameras, anywhere where it's a high crime area that they classify as a high crime area, we got cameras, police cameras with the little red and white lights on. They don't really prevent nothing because cats still killing. But those cameras usually come into effect when they looking to get a suspect. But with these shootings, like the expressway shootings and stuff, for some reason, no camera never caught nothing. So I'm glad that brother brought that up.
Somebody would have been told. 75 people? Come on, no suspects. See, y'all still there?
Yeah, we still here.
See, this is the thing with Chicago, what's going on with Chicago. Now, Chicago is one of the highest, like, segregated cities in the United States, one of the biggest segregated cities. So there's just a gentrification mechanism that it's too many black people in one area, and it's not moving fast enough. So they had to come up with these scenarios and come up with these shootings very rapidly, so the government can step in and get the rest of the blacks out of the community, because it's not happening fast enough with the gentrification program, and there's too many blacks in certain areas in Chicago. That's why they're focusing on Chicago so much.
And you know what?
New York, hey, what's up? Because New York is kind of like, New York is already gentrified and people spread out. There's all kinds of people everywhere in New York. Philly is kind of segregated, but it started with the colleges in Philly is making it more like liberal and more mixed because of the colleges. But Chicago is too large and got too a big population that's stuck in one area. So they have to put these shootings to make the government step in and get the rest of the blacks out of here. That's what's going on there. That's why they're focusing on Chicago so much. Detroit, they already deindustrialized that from that right after the 60s.
Yeah.
I remember when Detroit used to be the 5th largest city in the United States.
Yeah.
Now they probably about 30th now.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
So that's what's going on in Chicago. And Philly, certain areas in Philly, they want to hurry up and move faster. We got a lot of these shootings going on.
Hey, and to lamb back off what you said, D, because you know I'm a Hebrew, so I can't piggyback. So to lamb back off what you said, right? You know, I was in the D, right? And I was telling my my people there that at one time I remember Detroit, you know, it had a population of at least 2 million, close to 2 million, well over 1.5 million. They lucky if they got 300,000 now, and it's a heavily black populated city. Now, to get back to what the brother was saying, to verify what he's saying is true, it's no secret Chicago is a very segregated city. It's real ethnic, you know, but it's not like New York where it's kind of like a gumbo. It's a bunch of invisible lines. Like, you know, you got the small population of the Irish. They like 2% of Chicago, yet they run City Hall. And they always had their beefs back from the mobster days. They always had their beefs with the Italians and the Dutch and the Sicilians and all that. But when you ride through the Chi, you know what I mean? You know what parts is what parts. Like the South Side is basically the largest side. It's dominated by black folks. And you got pockets of large populations of Latinos. You know what I mean? And outside of the Puerto Ricans, the only you see that intermingle or that cross with each other are Puerto Ricans and the quote unquote African American community. But like even the Mexicans are segregated from the black community. The black community segregate themselves from the white community and the Arab community. So he absolutely right. And you got to remember at one time, the Chicago was the projects capital. We had the largest high-rise projects, you know, the Pellegrini Greens, you know, the Ida B. Wells, the Robert Taylors, Stateway Gardens, all these places, the Ickeys, those big, damn near 100-story project buildings. But see, those project buildings, and I remember the projects, man, you know, yeah, people was terrified to go in them projects because they was like forts. They was like forts, man. Police couldn't do nothing with them. And so the problem came in is that a lot of them was in the area we call the low end. Like on the South Side, they was in the low end, meaning the numbers are low. So when you're down to like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s and stuff like that, that's right down. That's a skip from downtown. Now, you know, downtown Chicago is beautiful. The skyline is beautiful and it is a high tourist place. So that was a black eye. They had to go straight from out of these this big, pretty, illustrious downtown area, beautiful Lake Mission. Then you go across the street and these big projects there. And, you know, it was scary. Spray paint on them and they was terrified. So they tore the projects down. And when they tore the projects down, they displaced a whole lot of people. Like they lied to them. They told them, well, you know, we're going to make the housing that we're going to build here affordable for the people in these housing projects. And it was a tricky way they did it. Back to the gentrification that the brother was saying, the red line, all that type of stuff. What they did was they said they would make a percentage of it livable for the people. But in reality, I would have to say less than 5% of those thousands of people that was piled in those projects ever got to stay in that place and move into those new homes. Those new homes are populated by white people. You know what I'm saying? The rest of them, they try to push the Negroes out into the suburbs, or they just threw them, spilt them over in other parts of the city. Now, these other parts of the city that they went to already had gangs and structure. So now you done threw these people, these brothers that came from these project buildings doing what they was doing. Now you done threw them off into quote unquote somebody else's hood. And so from that point on, it just got even worse. You know what I mean? So a lot of what that brother just brought out is absolutely true. They've been wanting this city back for a long time. But the funny thing about it is the city was never theirs. Dusabu owned this city, a black man. You can go anywhere. We got the Dusabu Museum. We got a school named after him. And I always used to wonder why they never taught about this man in school. If people that don't know about him, look up Dusabu, man. Dusabu owned the city of Chicago. He was a black man. I think he sold it for $3,000 and got the hell out of Dodge because they was going to kill him. And they've been wanting this city ever since then.
Yeah, but all right, Brother D. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, so I guess this interview kind of went, to conspiracy lane. I mean, I don't like calling it conspiracy theory. I don't like calling it that. I think that, we gotta be on that shit, like pointing these things out, and anything's possible when you're dealing with this cracker. And you know, if I was to come in the 80s and tell the motherfuckers on the corner that, yeah, the drugs that you're selling was brought in by the CIA, they'd call me a fucking conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I'm not really a fan of even labeling, conspiracy theory in the context of how they speak of conspiracy theories to demonize what is being said. But getting into your Hebrew doctrine, why do you consider yourself to be? Why did you choose to be a New Testament Hebrew as opposed to a person that just followed the Torah?
Well, okay. Let me see. That's a good question. Well, let me see. I would have to say when I came into it, right, it got a lot to do with when I came into it. And when I did come into the reality of the belief that I was a Hebrew Israelite, being that I'm in Chicago, it's a large Hebrew Israelite population here. So you got all different kind of Israelites. And I used to bump into, actually it was foreign to me until I started bumping into, Jakes, as we call them. That's a term Hebrews use, meaning black people, meaning you come from Jacob. You know what I'm saying? So I used to bump into Jakes that didn't deal with the New Testament. They called it a Greek Testament. They didn't deal with it. They only dealt with the Old Testament and say, let's deal with the Hebrew. But the more I researched, I kind of had a dilemma with that. And it was because, if you're an Hebrew Israelite and you subscribe to, because all of us are Torah centered, meaning the first 5 books of Moses, because that's actually one of the key factors that identify us being Israelites, because we use Deuteronomy chapter 28, of course. I know you're real familiar with it. And but when I started researching historically, and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, so you mean to tell me after the book of Malachi, our history just ceased to exist? And then, so I would be talking to some of the Old Testament brothers, and they'll say, no, the southern kingdom of Judah, which is comprised of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, was still in the land up until 70 AD. So I'm like, well, where's the recordings between that 440 years from Malachi to the New Testament, and then from the New Testament to 70 AD? Where's that recorded? And, they would come up with, they come up with some secular stuff here and there, but they couldn't get around the New Testament, because even if you did not subscribe to it dogmatically, or if you didn't believe Christ was the Messiah of Israel, because a lot of Old Testament brothers believe it's King David, or, you know what I'm saying, some even Solomon, or they'll just say, Yah himself is going to come save us. He won't send a savior. You know what I'm saying? I would ask them these things, and it would be a problem. And then so I would get some Israelite brothers that was OT only that would tell me, well, yeah, you can look at the New Testament as far as a historical recording. Yes, those was Israelites there, because if not, you got a problem, because the New Testament actually runs you straight into 70 AD. If you go to Luke, the 21st chapter, I believe it is, Jesus even prophesied it, that the Romans was going to invade. And they came after he died and did exactly what he said. They're going to tear down a bit. They're going to build a trench, burn up, and all that. You can also find that in Daniel and other prophecies. But it's just that basically without the New Testament, it was too much incomplete for me. You see what I'm saying? And then for the argument that, well, the New Testament was originally written in Greek, and why would we accept something Greek? You know what I'm saying? Well, my question always been to them, well, ain't we Israelites now and we in America? Yeah, okay, well, we speak in English. So anything that we write down right now, you mean to tell us our forefathers should just discard that 100 years from now? And I get crickets usually when those type of situations come up. And so that's why I chose to be one of the reasons I chose to be a Messianic Hebrew Israelite, as opposed to being an OT only or a Tanakh only Israelite.
So what is your concept of Jesus? You think Jesus is God or the Son of God, or what's your concept of Jesus?
See, and I'm glad you asked me that too, because I was just watching some earlier, and you know, I'm so used to this. But I was watching some earlier, and they was actually having that debate back and forth, and I didn't say nothing. I was just watching. Both sides made good points. But to be technical, when you go into the scriptures, it's scriptures upon scriptures upon scriptures. And I used to do the debate messianic, non-messianic. A lot of OT only brothers don't care for that term non-messianic, because a lot of them do believe a Messiah is coming. They just don't think it was Jesus Christ. So let me make that clear. So I just say we used to do the anti-OT debates. And you know, and the topic would come up, you know, well, who exactly was Jesus? What was he? And when you look in the Old Testament, it prophesied it of a Messiah to come. And this Messiah would come and he would have certain qualities and he would be our savior. Now, the thing about it is, when you kick it off in the book, and Bereshit, as they call it, which is Genesis, the first chapter, you know, it tell you in the beginning was God. And, you know, well, actually, I started John. And this what goes, it bags up with what's in Genesis. But in John, the first chapter, it says in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God, and there was nothing created that was not created by him. And then when you go back to Genesis, it said, you know, let us create man in our image. Now, you know, you have people that said, well, that was the Father talking to the angels. Well, when I go to Ezekiel and read out the description of like a cherub angel, he got 4 faces. You know, one with an ox, one with a eagle face, a man's face. He got 6 wings. I said, how many dudes, you know, walking around look like that? Because he said, let us create them in our image. So I ain't seen no cats walking around that look like that. So you got to come with the next one. And we would continually do this. And so my whole way that I always debated those things, I wouldn't just necessarily try to be smarter than you. We just gonna do process by elimination. We gonna see who it can't be. And then when it's all done, it's only gonna be who's ever left. So with that being said, I would say that Jesus Christ is the literal Son of God. And yes, now he is at the right hand of the Father, which makes him God. Because God comes from a uniplural word, which is Elohim or Elohim, as they say it in the Hebrew. And when you look at it, it is synonymous almost like with a family. You know, it's one body, but with multiple members. And yeah, being that he's become part of that, yes, he would definitely be considered God. He's not the Father, though. He's not the Father, but he is the word of the Father. You know, he's the right hand of the Father. I can show you that in the scriptures. He's also considered the right hand of the Father. He is our high priest, and he will be the King of Kings.
So do you believe in like the Trinity?
No.
Okay, so you think that Jesus is the Son of God, so God is more superior than Jesus?
I put it like this. And somebody asked that question earlier. It was a word, but I can't remember how you say it. It started with an O. But basically, being that he's in the form, matter of fact, let me grab my sword real quick. But he's of that same body, but he does descend from the Father. For example, let me put it like this to make it simple for you. The Father is called the Most High. Why is he called the Most High? The most.
You asked me that question, or is it rhetorical?
Yeah. It's rhetorical, but you can answer it because you already see where it's going. If the Father is the Most High, then the Father also, he's also called the Ancient of Days in the scripture. The Father is called the Ancient of Days, meaning he goes back before any days. So no, ultimately the Father is the ultimate superior source in the whole thing.
Okay, because a lot of Hebrews get blamed. A lot of the New Testament Hebrews get blamed with being just another Christian sect.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I just kind of threw that out there.
But could I
So
address that? Could I address that?
yes, sir. You sure can.
Okay. And this is funny. Whenever somebody say, and I know in the term Christian, they mean it like, you know, modern day Roman Christianity that you see, you know, the Sunday church and all that, the Trinity, like you brought up and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny whenever they say that because I always ask them to show me a Messianic Hebrew Israelite that keep Easter. Show me a Messianic Hebrew Israelite that keep Christmas. You know what I'm saying? That keep Good Friday and all this nonsense that ain't in the scriptures. You won't find it. Any Messianic Hebrew that you bump into are going to be keeping the same feast days that an OT only Israelite keep, which is the Feast of Weeks, which is the Passover or Pesach, which is the blowing of the trumpets. You know what I'm saying? Which is the Day of Atonement. You know, the things of this nature. So if you want to determine one's culture, one of the things you have to take account for is their religious customs or their spiritual practices. You know what I'm saying? Their laws, their language, their land. If me and your stuff is matching all the way up, how could you call me something else? It just don't make sense.
Right. So do you believe as a Messianic Hebrew like that the world is going to end and like, you know, it's going to be like, you know, everybody try to make jest out of the return of Christ. Let's take a step back from the world going to end. Do you believe that Christ is going to return?
Yes, I do. I'm not a preterist or a full preterist that believe everything was fulfilled in 70 AD. I know that little doctrine is starting to spread. I already beat up the teacher of that, William Bell. Shout out to you, William Bell, if you're watching this. But yeah, I already had a rumble with him and what's my brother name? Pit Boss. You know, I had three of them. I had the teacher, his student, Pit Boss, and another one. It was a few years back. It's on YouTube. And they tried to trap me in there, man. I was in there with swords chopping limbs off. So they left me alone after that. So yeah, he definitely gonna come. He definitely gonna come back. You know, I know a lot of people don't believe that, but yeah, he gonna come back. And yes, he is a black man.
Okay, so you believe that the Christ is going to return. Like give me like I guess some scripture suggesting that like his return is going to be, because a lot of people say you know, the sky going to crack open, he's going to come with 10,000 angels, and you know, like, do you believe that, or do you believe in a different form of Christ's return?
Well, say that again. You say that a lot of people believe what is that?
Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying like, well, he's going to come out the sky with 10,000 angels and reestablish Israelites on the planet, the chosen people, and you know, so in Islam, you know, he's going to establish, you know, the caliphate, and reclaim Jerusalem. It's like, you know, but you know, the return is pretty much like a physical return. Like that same Jesus from 2,000 years ago is going to come back. He's going to have this army of angels, and they're going to re-establish, you know, control over the righteous. So, is
Well,
that what you believe?
well, I believe, well, he's definitely physically, literally coming back. He's definitely physically, literally coming back. I can take you to Revelations, but as far as how he's going to come back, yeah, it's written clearly in the scriptures. You know, I hear how people say it and they make it sound funny. Like he gonna crack the sky open, you know, if that's what you want to call it. You know, it say the heaven's gonna roll back like a scroll, but he's definitely gonna come back. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you how I know the powers that be know he gonna come back. If you ever pay attention, man, what they've been prepping us for like the last, God, I don't know how long. I could say long as I've been alive, they've been prepping us for what? The Martians are coming. They've been prepping you for it. Invasion of the aliens and all that, Independence Day and all this type of stuff. And it's people that say that the Bible is spookism and Jesus coming back is just a bunch of religious hard teaching. But these same people will turn around and tell you that there's life on other planets, and they actually support the Star Wars program. They support NASA. You know what I'm saying? These the same people that would, once they know that, let's say, an ancient civilization like ancient Kemet or Egypt, they know they black, right? So now they know the days is up that they can't keep hiding that them was black African people, right? So what they want to do now? They want to get credit to the pyramids to some damn aliens. This the mind. This how people play with your mind. And so what they doing is they prepping you for when Christ return, because the scriptures tell you that they gonna basically, the army's gonna stop fighting each other and they gonna turn to him, and they gonna turn to him to fight him. And they prepping you with that, because every movie they come out with, man, is the United States and all the other armies gathering together to fight against whoever this invader is coming from the sky. And that's what they've been doing, and that's what they basically is prepping you for. So I'm looking for a good precept to give you to kind of further validate what I'm saying. Let me see. I had a good one in my mind too, but I think I'm gonna go with this one. Revelations chapter. All right, we can go with this. Let me see this. This is Revelations chapter 21, right? It's saying, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth was passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is now with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And this right here, let me skip down to verse 6. It says, and he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst and a fountain of water of life, of water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Now, this New Jerusalem, which a lot of people don't know, is the Father's kingdom. And a lot of Hebrew Israelites don't even teach that it's two, that it's two kingdoms. And that's a little deep. And I know you already trying to set me up to debate that with somebody, and I definitely do it. But so the process that I just read, this is actually tied into your earlier question when you asked about what position the Father stands as opposed to the Son. When the Father comes down, it tells you that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, right? But then if you go to like the prophet Zechariah, it tell you that it will be people in the kingdom, babies that died 100. You see what I'm saying? And it's going to be people living old age. So you would think you got a contradiction right there, don't you? Because if flesh and blood can't enter the kingdom of God, how is it that people will be dying at 100 years old? Because see, God going to reinstitute the longevity of life like it was before the flood. Well, I'm going to tell you why. People don't know that it's two kingdoms. You got the first kingdom, which I could read right here. It said Revelations 2, like 2 chapters ahead of what I was just reading, where Christ's going to come. He going to set his kingdom up on earth, and he going to rule for 1,000 years. You see what I'm saying? So during Christ's kingdom, when he ruling for 1,000 years, SolarMind, you're going to still have flesh and blood people walking around in there. You see what I'm saying? So people still going to be having babies and all that type of stuff. We just going to live longer like in the day. But by the time the Father's kingdom come, ain't going to be no more of that people dying and all that type of stuff, because we will be transfigured, or the same way when Jesus died and he transformed and then he went on to his Father. That's the same way we gonna be. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, did you ever hear of like the Project Bluebeam?
Project Bluebeam. Now, see, I get that mixed up because you got Project Bluebeam, you got HARP. I know HARP is where they control the weather, where they say the government got the ability to control the weather and cause earthquakes and things. And then you got Project Bluebeam. So you got to clarify which one exactly falls under what category, because it's like 3 of them and I get them mixed up.
Yeah, I'll do you one, but I'm gonna share screen and I'm gonna read it off of Google. Um, Project Bluebeam. All right. Um, all right. Let me see. Um, Yo, y'all gonna stop trying to play me too. Hit that like button. Let me share screen this real quick. All right. It says Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that claims that NASA is attempting to implement a new age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order via a technologically stimulated second coming. It says the allegations were presented in 1994 by Quebecios journalist and conspiracy theorist Serge Manas, and later published in his book Project Bluebeam. Proponents of the theory alleged that Manas and other unnamed journalists who both died of heart attacks in 1996 were in fact assassinated, and that the Canadian government kidnapped Manas's daughter in an effort to dissuade him from investigating Project Bluebeam. The project was apparently supposed to be implemented in 1983, but it didn't happen. It was then set for implementation in 1995 and then 1996. Manas thought Project Bluebeam would be brought to fruition by the year 2000. Really, definitely, for sure. So, according to what they're trying to suggest, they're trying to suggest that they was going to stage a second coming, of Christ. So that's Project Bluebeam. When in all actuality, is going to be ushering in the Antichrist.
Okay, yeah, now that you brought that up, I am familiar with it. You brought it to my remembrance. Yeah, I was checking that out. I was checking that out some years ago. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I don't put that past them. And as a matter of fact, you actually got scriptures to support that. Because I always thought to myself, what's the best way to deceive the masses of people? Because you got to think about it. It's probably what you give or take. It's probably about 6 billion people. Would you give it about 6 billion on the planet now? Think about, from what they say, the general statistics is probably about 6 billion or something like that.
Now, I think it's in the trillions, right?
The trillions, man. Far as I've ever heard, it's only like 6 billion or something like that.
That 6 billion?
Yeah, billion.
Okay.
Now, out of that 6 billion, how many of them do you think are Christian? Well, I'll tell you why you're looking for it. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's 1 billion Catholics.
Yeah, it's 7.4 billion people on the planet.
Okay, 7.4. So I was off a billion. Now, out of that number, at least 1 billion of them are Catholics alone. That's not even counting the other 1.5 billion other denominations of Christianity. That's a large chunk of the world. So if you want to deceive somebody, and you got to think about it, you got, like you brought up earlier, that's not even counting Islam. because Islam recognized Jesus. They call him Isa or the Mahdi. I think you was talking it's the Mahdi, if I'm remembering my Arabic, right?
The Mahdi, yeah.
Mahdi, right. And so, you know, his return coming. So that when you combine it, that's a large population looking for somebody to return. Now, the theology in it is different. Like you say, a lot of the Islamic just believe he's gonna be born and just, you know, grow up in the neighborhood or something like this. But they all agree to somebody coming back. So I would not doubt that they would do that. And as a matter of fact, I want to read something to you real quick. It says, I'm going to go to the scriptures real quick. It says, but see, the Most High know these type of things going to happen too. And so this is what it says. I'm going to go to Job, the 5th chapter, right? It's Job chapter 5, and this is what it says. It says, okay, 5 and 12. It say he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands could not perform their enterprise. It say he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. Now, this basically means that he see the little devices and gimmicks that they coming up with, right? It's just this technology, you know, them putting stuff in the water, trying to, you know, they've been trying to deplete our numbers for the longest, but also on a greater scale. You know, they using technology to deceive a lot of people. And he's saying that they little craftiness that they doing with it is going to backfire on them. It's just like with the AIDS epidemic. You know, however AIDS got created, like you said, we ain't going to make this a super conspiracy show, but however it got here, it's like with everything else. They expect it to stay in the communities that they put them in, you know, to reach their agenda, but it always backfire and come back on them. So yeah, I would doubt that Project Blue Beam is in effect. I could actually say that that's actually I hope the train don't be too loud for you, but I could actually say that that's very probable, bro. I can't go against that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I found that to be very interesting when you was bringing up the concept of the return of Christ. And like, you know, it kind of crossed my mind about this whole Project Blue Beam, and you could kind of see, you know, when you read the when I was reading off of Wikipedia that him and his co-worker got murdered. I mean, well, allegedly assassinated, but it was kind of ironic that they both had heart attacks. So, you know, yeah, it was kind of crazy. But you know, kind of moving forward, you know, so the return of Christ is going to kind of change the whole dynamic of the planet, and they're going to destroy who? Who is coming? Who is Christ coming to destroy?
Christ coming to destroy every last one of these government systems that would not bow and submit to the authority of him, point blank period. So, you know, some people get upset when they see the brothers on the corner saying that, you know, he coming to destroy, you know, as they say, modern day Babylon, the United States and all that type of stuff. But all of these governments, man, he is coming to destroy, point blank period. And anything that's left out of them, the residue of them is going to have to submit. So, for example, you know that the United States ain't nothing but an arm to their forefathers, which come from Europe. And the scriptures, I believe it's Daniel the 7th chapter, Daniel the 9th chapter. It talks about the 10 toes, right? Now, I know it's a lot of brothers with a lot of different doctrine who say who the 10 toes is, but the one that I always subscribe to is if you look at the 10 toes right now, you got a world organization called the 10. You can literally go look it up. And if you look up the 10, it's certain countries that's European based. The UK just dropped out. They just dropped out. And what's funny is all 10 of them are Catholic. They're Catholic countries. These are the 10 heads. The UK were Protestants. So we kind of always knew that they was going to drop out, but somebody got to replace them. Now, don't be confused. Within those, there's actually more than 10. There's like the little sub countries or whatever that fall up under their banner, but it's 10 major countries. And these 10 is going to, you know, basically kick off a war. So it's going to be a big war between, all you got to do is look at the European Common Market, bro. The ECC, the European Common Market, that's tied in with all of that. When you look over there what Russia doing, and then you look at all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East and all of that, the East is going to fight against the West. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, this is the war that everybody, you know, everybody's waiting on and all that. But when it's all said and done, after all that killing is done, at the end of the day, they're going to have to submit to the Most High. And so to answer your question clearly for everybody that's listening, every last one of these governments on this planet, they military forces and all that type of stuff, including the United States, is going to be destroyed.
So when you say destroyed,
I mean, when I say
physical destruction,
like, let me clarify. When I say destroyed, I don't mean like the world's just gonna be gone. You know what I'm saying? No, it don't work like that. When I say destroyed, what I mean is they military, they government, all that stuff. That the power that they got to rule this world, because see, we in the time of the Gentiles. And they tell you that even our land Jerusalem will be trodden down by the time of the Gentile, by the Gentiles, to the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. You know, so I believe that's Luke the 22nd chapter, and Luke 20 or Luke 22. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. And so when I say destroyed, meaning they won't have no might in their hand no more. They gonna have to submit. They not gonna have no Air Force, no Navy, no Army, no none of that, because the Most High is gonna destroy. He gonna kill a lot of people, bro. A whole lot of people. You ain't seen no killing like this, and I truly believe that too. Dogmatically, and I don't have a problem with saying it.
Yeah, so you think that it's going to be like a literal takeover?
Yeah, literal. He gonna invade with his armies. They literally say that.
Yeah, because here in America, you got a lot of Hebrew Israelites. So you believe all of them will be saved? What would be the criteria of a person being saved?
Well, see, now that's a good question. Solar taking off the gloves on this one, got me on the hot seat. That's cool. Some people gonna be mad, but I'm gonna let the scriptures tell you on that one. Let me find this real quick. But definitely the scriptures say that all Israel shall be saved. And I believe it's Paul that repeats that in the New Testament. He said that surely, you know, like the book says, that all Israel shall be saved. Now, when you go to other scriptures that you will hear a lot of brothers read, where they say like 2/3 of Israel gonna die. So if you just listen to that, you think you got a dilemma right now. Like something sounds like a contradiction. Like if all of them gonna be saved, how is 2/3 of them gonna die? Well, let me show you right here. This is where a lot of people don't focus on, and then you put it together and it's clear as day. I'm gonna go to the prophet Isaiah real quick. Give me 1 minute, bear with me, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hit that like button when you get a chance. If you come in, hit the like button.
Okay.
Get this thing up to at least 25 for the night out.
Matter of fact, let me go to Ezekiel chapter 20. Here you go. This is Ezekiel chapter 20 right here. It says, here we go. Ezekiel chapter 20, and I'm gonna pick it up at verse 34. Nope, verse 33. Here we go. It says, as I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand and with the stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. Verse 34. It say, and I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered. Now, you know, SolarMind, who the only people that was scattered throughout all the countries. So he's talking to us. So listen to this. It say, with a mighty hand and with the stretched out arm and with fury poured out. It says, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Now, we know he did this once before in the wilderness. Let's see who he did this to before. So he's talking to us. Verse 36, he said, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord God. Now, so he's telling us the way he took us into the wilderness after he freed us from Egypt, he gonna do that likewise when he gather us from all of these countries and take us into the wilderness. Because remember, in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, which you hear a lot of brothers read, rightfully so, it says, it said that I will send you into Egypt again by ship. We know that to be slave ships. So Egypt just don't mean America. It means slavery. You know what I'm saying? It's basically a house of bondage. That's what it means. So before you had the transatlantic slave trade, you also had the sub-Saharan slave trade where the Arabs were selling us. So all of that would be considered the concept of Egypt in the scriptures. So he telling us, just like I did it back when I freed you from literal Egypt, I took you through the wilderness. And what did he do to us in the wilderness? He took us through a purging process. You know what I'm saying? And everybody that was over 20 years old died in that wilderness. They couldn't make it. The only ones made it in was Joshua and Caleb and the youth. And that's a message to people too. Because usually, I hate to say it, if niggas get too old and they already corrupted, it ain't no cleaning them up. They just gonna keep teaching that nonsense. So God killed everybody that was over 20 and say, hey, I got a chance with y'all because y'all not old enough to be stupid. Y'all can learn my ways, right? So when he do it this time, as you see, he's saying, I'm going to take you to the wilderness again after I gather you from all the Egypt that you in. Meaning everywhere that we get dispersed during the transatlantic slave trade, he's going to gather us. So let me read this next part to make it clear. It says, and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So, to answer your question, when you ask would Israel be saved, because like you say, you hear some, like I said, you hear some brothers say, they go to the verses where it say all Israel will be saved. Then they go to other verses where it show a lot of Israel ain't gonna make it. Well, all Israel is going to be saved. What that means is he guarantees he gonna get every Israelite that's scattered all over the earth. I don't care if you don't even claim yourself to be no Israelite. You can look and be like, man, I ain't no Jew. That's all right. You coming too, homie. You know what I'm saying? You can't hide under no rocks. He gonna gather everybody. So he's going to save you from in that standpoint. But then, as I just read, we're going to the wilderness. And he said that he's going to purge out the rebels that transgress against us. So that they transgress against him. So to answer your question, he's going to gather all us. He's going to take us to the wilderness before we can go back to our land that currently the fake Jew is ruling. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of us is going to die in the wilderness because we going to still try to rebel against God. So I hope that answers your question. And to further bag up what I'm saying, anybody that's listening, go to Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, and you can also go to Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, and it would tell you that the first place he going to destroy is over there where the fake Jew at, because he over there being real bogus with our land, and he posing as us. So after he kill him and clean him out, get us out the wilderness, then finally we can go in there, because that place needs to be purged. They just had the largest homosexual parade over there. That was just disgusting. So I guarantee you the Most High pissed off.
Yeah, very interesting response. I'll have to admit. We have a brother named Kentron in the debate league, and he is a Hebrew Israelite Muslim. You know what that is?
Wait, say a who? A what?
He's an Israelite Muslim.
Oh boy. So basically, let me ask him. So because I don't have the chat opened up, I'm just on the regular one. Because for some reason, I went on YouTube to open up the other window and try to find your show where I could see the chat. And you not in my live stream. You know, I get notified when you go live, but for some reason, you're not in there. So I don't know why I can't find it. But
Subscribe and hit the notification.
huh?
Subscribe to this channel. This is a new channel, Solar Vision Debate League.
Oh, that's why I'm not in.
Subscribe to this channel and then hit the notification.
What's the name of it?
Solar Vision Debate League.
Solar Vision Debate League. Okay. And while I'm doing that, ask the brother, does he mean that he's a Hebrew Israelite by ethnicity, but Muslim by religion? Ask them, is that what he means?
He's not in the chat room, but yeah, that's what he means though.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Well, you know what? Actually, that's not that uncommon. I've actually, hell, if you want to be technical, the Nation of Islam, you know, of course, you know this. They don't reject us being the true Israelites, but they choose Islam as their way of life. So
yeah,
I guess
it was to segue into a question that I was going to ask you pertaining to what is your perspective on Islam?
Of all Islam?
Yeah, whatever aspect you want to deal with it on.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's what I was waiting on. Okay, let me say this. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Like with anything else, I'm not just like a dogmatic type, just bang on somebody's belief or whatever, especially if it's being productive for them and the surrounding people. And I gotta say, a lot of the Muslims that I know live productive lives. You see what I'm saying? So you know, I had to butter them up before I throw them in the oven. So I don't have a problem with it from that aspect per se. You know what I'm saying? It teaches discipline and all those type of things. And they actually do follow a lot of the customs of the Hebrew Israelites, which come from the scriptures. You know what I mean? So with that being said, though, I would there's a few things, a few bones that I do have to pick with certain teachings of the religion, being that I myself once subscribed to a form of Islam. You know what I mean? It wasn't mainstream Islam, but I did pray to Allah. You know what I'm saying? And one thing is, like I asked, I believe it was Imam Bashir. I think it was he debating Judah Nazareth, or I don't know if that was, no, I think Judah was debating Lord Abba. But you know, he
debating Orthodox more.
Okay. Well, my question was, you know, this is when my problem with Muslims come up, is when they basically try to water down the very Bible that the Quran is basically proclaiming to be an extension of. They try to water it down and say how corrupted it's been, and basically God made a mistake with that, and so now he had to come back with the Arabic version. You know what I'm saying? Under a covenant that comes from Ishmael, and we're not Ishmaelites, we're Israelites. And so that's one thing I got a problem with, because first off, Ishmael never had the covenant. He never had the covenant. I've heard people debate this over and over and over again, and it's very easy to cut. He never had the covenant. He tried to usurp the covenant, just like the Roman Catholic Church did with our Levitical priesthood, the Levites. When you look at the Roman Catholic Church, they dress in those type of clothes. They basically, when you go to them, you got to confess your sins to a man behind a sheet. This sheet represents the veil of the temple. That was the temple that was in Jerusalem when you had to go to the Levites and they had to sprinkle the blood on the they had to sprinkle the blood on the veil 7 times. Now when you go to the Catholic Church, they tell you to say Hail Mary, and they do their finger in that gesture as to say that they sprinkle in the blood and all that sort of. These are all usurp attempts to usurp the true and only priesthood, which is the nation of Israel. So that's one issue I got with them. 2, another issue that I have with them is, like I say, when they always talking about how there's so many errors in the scriptures and all that type of stuff, but then they go to the Quran. But then when I ask them, yo, what's up with the parallels between the Holy Quran and the Book of Jasher? Don't nobody want to touch that. I asked Imam about shit that when he was on your show, and I think you read it out loud to him, and he just laughed, said he wasn't gonna touch that. You know what I'm saying? And I know why he not gonna touch it. You know, and so that's one thing. And then if you want to deal with my Moorish brothers, I ain't got no beef against them either, but this is where it's tied in at because it's all forms of Islam. We all know the Circle 7 Quran is like, you know, tick for tat, a plagiarization of the Aquarium Gospels of Jesus Christ, which was written by a white dude a couple of years before that. So, I mean, my whole thing with Islam is for the ones who try to downplay the scriptures and the God of Israel and the Israelites and try to say, well, you would be better if you became a Muslim and picked up a Quran, then we got to test this authenticity, you know what I'm trying to say, authenticity of the Holy Quran itself. And I'm up with the challenge with anybody that want to do it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. You know, I think that, you know, because when you talk about like Islam or the rise of Islam, I think that is a very powerful force in the black community. You said the Nation of Islam.
Indeed.
I would have to now pose this question: do you believe that there will be some Muslims that is actually saved that don't believe that Christ is the Son of God?
Woo! Boy, you is putting it out there. I better be careful with these words here. Cause I go too wrong one way, the Hebrews gonna give me. I go another way, the Muslims gonna want to jihad. But okay. All right, let's keep it funky. You said, so do I believe? I want to make sure your question is clear so that we don't be mistaken. Ask that question again, SolarMind, and ask it clear.
Do you believe that any of the Israelite Muslims can they be saved without believing in the salvation through Jesus Christ?
Okay. Well, let me say, I'll say this. There's Muslims on this earth that been following the Quran all their life, right? Mm-hmm. They never really dealt with, I would say, the Bible and its truth. They never really dealt with the Bible and its truth. So what they think they're serving is correct. And the scriptures tell us, and this is one scripture that before any Israelite get mad, you can't deny that it's in there. And I know all the other ones that say, you know, if you don't believe on my name and all that, but it's one that you can't get around. He says, I will show mercy on whom I choose to show mercy on. I'm paraphrasing. This is what the Lord said. He said, I show mercy on whom I choose to show mercy on. So once I read that, I said, hey, I could kind of look at them statistically and say, man, the route you going, you ain't gonna make it. But at the end of the day, God is the ultimate one to choose whether they can get salvation or not. But I will say this: if somebody brought the truth to them, and being that they're spiritually literate because they already into a lifestyle that forces them to study, pray, and be on a spiritual plane, right? If somebody come to them and show them the truth, not just tell them, show them the truth about the Most High God and Jesus Christ, and they reject it to keep that ideology of Islam, no, they ain't gonna get salvation.
Deep. So what about the Old Testament Hebrews?
Oh boy, I knew you was setting me up. I knew it.
Because they gotta fall in the same category. Like they don't really.
Yeah, basically, you know what? To keep it funky, basically, yeah. I look at it the exact same way. So that answer applies to them as well. Exact same.
Okay. So we have brothers like, you know, comedic brothers in the debate league, such as Kansu, who He believes that African spirituality can be used as a tool to uplift Black people. What is your assessment of like the Kemetic philosophy, pros and cons?
Okay, the Kemetic philosophy, pros and cons. I just like to say, first off, we know that the debate league is not personal. A lot of people that's in your league, and since I will be joining the debate league, a lot of people in this league know each other. A lot of us cool with each other. Some of us probably not so much. And Kansu is my boy. That's my bro. You know, he from the Shy. You know, we had a lot of the same upbringings. I say it like that. I'm also familiar, and I haven't spoke to him in a while, but I got I had a pretty cordial relationship with Brother Ngozi too, although I hadn't talked to him in a while. So with that being said, I wouldn't really consider Kansu a Kemetic though, even though he's over Team Osiris and all of that, or Asor, which you know was Asar and Kemet. I would look more of him as more of an African spiritualist, because if I'm not mistaken, he dealt in the Moorish science and all that too. But what I'll say to that is, as far as a tool to help your community, just on a what we would call carnal level, like a fleshly level, like if you want to look at it as economically, agriculturally, even some of the teachers, from a moral standpoint, I would say yes. I would say there could be an effective form. But overall, on a salvational issue, meaning which is what is ultimately our goal, no. All those other philosophies are vain. Every last one of them. Even though they might have some truth in them, when you put them together, if the body ain't silent, if the body not solid, one weak spot can collapse the whole structure. You see what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, no. But let me say this too. Let me add this since you brought it up. Kemetic science. Let me just stick with that, right? I just want to throw something out there. And this ain't at Kansu, but this is at some other Kemetic cats, because I'm in this little group, Kemetics versus Hebrew Israelites, right? And you know, they always bringing up like the 42 confessions of Ma'at, the 42 laws of Ma'at. And it's actually more than 42. A lot of people say 42, but it's really like 42, 42, and 42, which would get you 100 and something. You know what I'm saying? When you compare them, and they like to say that, well, the Torah or the Bible was plagiarized or was birthed from Ma'at. And I've even seen Brother Zion Lex, shout out to my brother Zion Lex, shalom, shalom. I've seen him destroy this. But I've always said, if you took all of the laws of Ma'at or the principles of Ma'at, it doesn't even add to 2% of what's in the Torah. People say it's 613 laws. But even if you just take that number and say that that's accurate, that means in comparison to the 42 or the 42, 42, and 42, you wouldn't even get one chapter in our book. So where did all these other principles come from? I don't see no legit dietary law. I don't really see a legit moral law as far as codes of conduct between you know, man and woman, or like homosexual laws. I don't really see that. And when you do see things mentioned, like in Ma'at, where it says, I have not been with a man, hell, that could be a woman saying it, saying that she's a virgin. And if it is a man, it never says the penalty if you do. Whereas if you go to our book in, I believe it's Leviticus, the 18th chapter, you see all of the penalties for any immoral behavior, whether it's sleeping with your mother, your brother, your sister, or if you sleep with another man, if two women, you know, all that type of stuff. If you sleep with an animal, you know what I mean? It's a penalty for it, meaning you cannot have a law and constitution set up in a government, legislated, and not have enforcement if you break those laws. I don't see that in my eye. So from that standpoint, it you know, you can cherry pick out of it. If you truly live it, I can see it making you a good person out here on the earth and a productive member in society. But overall, it don't match up at all. Like it don't even compare.
Great answer, man. You you touched briefly upon the Moorish science temple. I want you to give your take on that. Like, what is your pros and cons of the Moorish science temple?
Man, see that's it's kind of, you know, man, at the end of the day, man, I'm an Israelite. I follow the Torah. The Most High God is number one. I can't be political with that. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna hold anything to the pedestal that I put the Bible and the God of Israel on, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I would not do it. But secondarily, if I have to come down and look at all of these other structures, I would say that the Moorish science, they teach you a lot. Like I don't know no cats. It's a lot of Hebrew Israelites that's into it, but you know, it's a lot of Hebrew Israelites that's under the Moorish banner. You know, they call themselves Moorish Hebrews. I've seen brothers with sovereignty cards where they actually have on their card Moorish Israelite. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for as far, you know, for as good as that is, because the whole sovereignty card thing, I don't think it even do any good, to be quite honest with you. Because if you run a red light, they can still lock you up. I know about the trafficking card instead of the driver's license and all that. When all that be said and done, you still under this white man, quote unquote, and he would still throw your ass in jail, and ain't nobody gonna, none of that gonna matter. But what I will say is, when it comes to cats getting up in them courtrooms and basically breaking down the construction of the United States Constitution, ain't nobody colder than the Moors. I don't, a lot of Israelites probably ain't gonna like that, but then you ain't being honest with yourself. Because I've seen Israelites get in jams and be like, man, I'm finna call my Moorish brother. You know what I'm saying? When they get into a jam, you know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. And so, you know, they got a lot of good things that they bring to the community. But as a servant of the Most High, I got to always ultimately that I just wish they would filter all that out. Like, for example, what always confused me about the Moors, and then I know it's different sects of Moors. I know you got temple Moors and non-temple Moors, right? And all of that. And then you got freelancers, like you got freelancing Hebrew Israelites who not with a camp. They basically on the internet or they learning on their own, right? And I heard somebody say that's what Lord Abi is. I said, dang, I ain't got to do him like that. But he ran from a with me a couple of some years back, so I had to throw that jab out there. So yeah, you know, the one thing with the Moors that confused me, bro, is that in one teaching, y'all teach we the Moabites. Then in another teaching, we the Moroccans. But then you say, well, the Moabites went to Morocco. But then you turn around, you say we the Canaanites. And then you got Moors who say we the Hebrews. That's confusion. God is not the author of confusion. So when you really take the veil off of it, it's as if Moor is basically just a generic term. It's no different than saying today, I'm black. And they hate that term black, but it's basically has replaced that as the same thing because it's not truly telling you the ethnicity of who you are. I always ask people, what is the Moorish tongue? What is the Moorish language of their ethnicity? Don't say, oh, it's a conglomerate of languages. Then that means that it come from a conglomerate of people. Because if I'm an Israelite and you ask me, what's my language of origin? I'm going to say Hebrew or Aramaic, which is a form of Hebrew. You see what I'm saying? If you ask a Chinese dude what is his, he going to say Cantonese or Mandarin. You see what I'm saying? If you ask an Arab, he's going to say Arabic. If you ask a German, he's going to say German. But when it comes to the Moors, it's like, you know, they just forgot to get that part. Like, what language would y'all speak in y'all original land? So it's a lot of questions I got about that. But like I say, they have a lot of pros, but they got cons as well.
Haha. So, you know, Mikha'el's in the building. We're about to close this thing out. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to bringing this brother in to debate, you know, some of these people, some of the other debaters inside of the debate league. So, you know, it sounds like a very knowledgeable brother. And I'm almost surprised by a lot of your answers. You know, I gotta admit, you know, so with that being said, I want you to close out and let the people know where they can contact you at.
Okay. I'd like to say first, I thank you, brother SolarMind. You know, I've been knowing you for quite some time now online. You know, we go all the way back to the debate talk for you days.
Yeah.
And, you know, you was always a pretty cool brother. You know what I mean? I mean, even though you ain't want to jump in the ring with me either, but I ain't gonna even, you know, I ain't gonna know that right now, you know. But no, I always respected you. You know what I'm saying? Even when we had our little differences back in the day with the whole inner black media and me, and you know, there's a whole bunch of people involved when I was with the War Machine or whatever. And you a stand-up guy, so I thank you, and I'm very much I very much am honored to be a part of your debate league, that you felt that I would be a valuable piece to add to this. Of course, I give all honor and praise for first and foremost. I should have said that first, to the Most High God for even giving me this opportunity humbly. Because at the end of the day, I'm just another cat from the hood, man, that survived some hellish stuff. And now that I got some knowledge that the Most High gave me, a little bit of wisdom, I'm trying to give it to my people, man, and try to get them up out this jam. We trying to make this whole, got to start in the hood, man. But if I could, I'd make the whole planet a better place. And, you know, you can reach me at MikeWard32212 at Gmail. And also, you know, my YouTube channel is Hebrews in the Hood. Hebrews with a Z, not a S. Hebrews, HEBREWZ in the Hood. I actually just dropped part 1 of a documentary that we just launched at the Walls of Jericho Ministry, Walls of Jericho Biblical Historical Studies, which is my ministry. I dropped it Friday night. It's on my channel. Y'all can check it. Hebrews in the Hood. It's called Part 1 from Assyria to West Africa, where we break it down the history of how the Israelites got to West Africa from the going all the way back to the Assyrian captivity. And I use a well-known tribe that people know today, which is the Yoruba, which I know that's gonna ruffle some people feathers that's always saying pseudo stuff. I ain't gonna say their name, Garfield, but you know. And so yeah, check that out. It's on my channel, and we got 2 parts coming out. The next one, we're going to expound on all the other lost tribes that's scattered throughout the Africa region, for the most part, like the Igbos, who are actually related to the Yoruba, and things of that nature. And then my third and final one will be focusing and examining the Latinos, or like the Afro-Latinos, the ones that don't nobody talk about. Like the Mexicans they don't ever show, that look like Kevin Garnett over there. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna do that. And y'all can also reach me at on my Facebook page. It's Mikha'el ben Yesharon Yisrael. That's Mikha'el ben Yesharon Yisrael. And with that, I say shalom, shalom. Peace.
All right. So there you have it, brother Mikha'el, Hebrews in the Hood. Tomorrow we're going to most likely have Zion Lex. We're going to have a discussion with Jesus Genesis. Obviously, the debate league review is going to happen on Thursday. Our guest will be Ken Tron, brother Ken Tron, and Friday we'll have the final of the trilogy debate with Gorilla Hebrew and Imam Bashir. So be on the lookout for that. And then at Saturday, we going to have the Chris Harris Gideon Israel, which keep on getting pushed back. You know, a lot of, you know, the brothers are very busy. They got work scheduled. So hopefully we'll be able to do that debate on this coming Saturday. So with that being said, this is your boy SolarMind. Shout out to all the debate leaguers. Choose your favorite debater at the website that, well, let me backtrack for a second. We actually have a website that we're working on, where you're going to actually have the picture of the debate leaguers, and we're still in the process of getting all the kinks together and working on that. So that should be up in probably a couple of weeks. But we the debate league website that we have now is on surveymonkey.com, and it's limited. So, you know, it's kind of reached its capacity, so I can still see, you know, your participation. So make sure you go and support that. Still, I will be transferring that over to the actual website once we get that up and coming. So still participate in selecting your favorite debaters. And I'll put the link in the description box. And with that being said, this is your boy SolarMind signing out. Peace.